Hey, kia ora, guys, how are you? So this is my first time going live on YouTube. It's a little bit intimidating, but I hope that wherever you're listening to this, or actually watching this, if indeed you're one of the people who do watch this, that you're well and staying safe in this crazy world in which we're living. Uh, I thought I would give this a shot. And what I thought I might do was also just do a little bit of a conversation with you on some thoughts I've been having a good time to give up sparring. Now, I have a podcast, if you didn't already know that, if you're watching this, it's called The Invisible Sensei. It's available on Spotify if you want to check that out. That would be really cool. And also I've got other videos on this channel if you want to have a bit of a check. Now, for me, I'm 48 years old. 48 years young, depending on who you're talking to. And I've been doing karate for over 40 years and some other martial arts. But what I want to do is I want to talk about something which kind of happened to me on the weekend and maybe you can relate. So as I get a little bit older and as our bodies get a little bit older, it's always interesting to hit certain benchmarks along the way. For me, a benchmark that I've always, I guess, judged myself at times too harshly on is my ability to continue sparring, whether that be newaza or, nagewaza, grappling or throwing in the grappling arts, or kumite and the stand-up stuff, the striking stuff. And I've always loved sparring. Before I came to understand the fruits of kata and my great love of kata, I was all about the fighting, and I was all about looking good doing it well in my own mind. So on the weekend, I was part of a grading and went to a Gashuka training camp. It was really cool. Some really wonderful practitioners, and probably I was one of the older guys, not the oldest certainly, but old enough. Young, energetic brown belts and black belts out there doing it, and so I hopped up and sparred. It was really cool, and I really enjoyed it. My lungs were blowing pretty hard by the end of it, but it was really cool. So I started asking myself this question: when is the right time? When is the time when I stop sparring? When is the time where I hang up the gloves, so to speak, and stop sparring? Well, I guess the answer to that question is how you judge your ability as someone who can spar. Like, are you a fighter? What are you trying to get out of it? One of the martial arts that I'm always had a passion for is judo and also jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Nihon jiu-jitsu. And one of the things I think is really cool in martial arts in general is the tap, the submission. I think it encourages people to be really honest in their technique. And, it's this weird thing that if you are, shall we say, one of those people whose ego doesn't allow them to tap, you usually end up paying a price. So it's about a mutual exchange. And for me, sparring is a mutual exchange. Of course, I've been in situations where I've been in a dojo or in a tournament or in real life where people have not been interested in an exchange. They've been interested in a argument as opposed to a conversation. And yes, I'm borrowing that completely from Life Master Doug Marcater. And, as we get older, it is really male or female, young or old, well, generally old. It is easy to kind of fall into this trap of judging ourselves on what we used to do and how we used to do it. I certainly wish I could still do Jordan Moshigiri and head high kicks without, a 2-hour warm-up beforehand. There are so many things that I wish I could still do, but at the same time, there are many things that I see now I don't need to do anymore. So for me, my focus when I'm sparring is to be in the right place at the wrong time. So it's an issue of timing. Also, I realize I'm not training for the UFC, and sometimes I do. I don't always have a 20-year-old expectation in a 48-year-old body. Now, just like most martial artists, I've got a number of injuries that I'm working with, and that's always the way. But I look at cross-training as a great way of strengthening yourself for your training. So core strength, I'm a big believer in resistance training, cardiovascular training, all those sorts of things, really, really important. But the main thing is to enjoy it in a way that you're able to continue to learn. And Kobudo has taken up a lot more of my time in the sense that I'm finding that's a wonderful balance for my hand-to-hand technique. So if you're in a position where you're judging yourself on your ability to beat a 22-year-old hotshot newbie shodan, then probably I encourage you to maybe stop judging yourself and enjoy the ride. It's also an excellent time to really refine your technique. Whereas when I was a kid, when I did certain techniques, I always did them in a way that I wanted to make it look as flashy as possible. If I could win looking as flashy as possible, then I would. But now, I guess what's the word? My dictionary of techniques, my repertoire, although wide, it's not as wide as when I was 20, 25, 30, or even 40. But hopefully it's becoming about quality as opposed to quantity and understanding how people move. I think sparring is an important and integral part of training because it encourages creativity, it encourages endurance, and it encourages looking at your technique in a really critical way that you're getting practical feedback. I think doing kata and bunkai and being really theoretical all the time is awesome. And I think we need that. But I think sometimes, I know for me, I learn more getting out on the floor and getting kicked, punched, swept, choked, locked. I learn more from that in 5 minutes of doing that than I do in months of reading old karate books or watching YouTube videos or discussing the pros and cons of certain bunkai. Anyway, that was my that was my few minutes rant about sparring. If you want to spar, do it and continue to do it, but be kind to yourself. We've got nothing to prove. Most of all, if you want to walk a long path, do the things that allow you to enjoy the arts. And if you've gotten to a point where sparring is no longer healthy for you, then let it go. Let it go and concentrate on so many of the other things which are really important as martial artists, not the least of which is our lifestyle and living a good life, being good to the people we train, being good people to our families, our friends, to the people we're employed by, the people we employ, if you're lucky enough. That's what karate is about to me. So I hope you've enjoyed this, my foray into live. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is meet people from around the world who do martial arts and enjoy it. I hope you take an opportunity to listen to the podcast. I always love getting feedback, be it positive, which is always nice. But if you have feedback where you feel that I can improve, I love getting that too. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to do a few more of these. I might do some from the dojo. Hope you're well. Thanks so much for watching, and take care of each other. Keep training. See you.